Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. I want to welcome you to today's edition of reBOOT. Yes, reBOOT, reBOOT. I can't sing the song like Lena does, but anyway, we want you to reboot. I am your spiritual thought leader, Regina L. Stillman, and I'm so glad that you're joining us today for this edition. I have with me on today, you're going to miss our fearless leader, Marlena Willingham had other duties calling today, but she will be back with us on next week. Nonetheless, her fearless and awesome sidekick, Shelly Welly, is here, along with Jonna, who's going to join the conversation on today. Good afternoon, ladies, and take it away.
Good afternoon. Hey guys, you see me every week. I'm back this week after traveling last week. I want to welcome our guest today, Jonna. We're going to get into some deep conversation, and I needed a partner or a rival. Let's see where this goes. Jonna, how are you today?
I am good. I am tickled to be on the ever so lovely reBOOT. So good afternoon, everybody. I'm glad to be here.
Well, welcome. Today, we really wanted to dive into the conversation that brought us to reBOOT. reBOOT has been a podcast that is all about changing how we view certain parts of our life to be more positive and less aggressive. So the main focus of this episode is going to be changing the conversation around topics where the people of younger generations, millennials, and the people of older generations, such as the boomers, what is the other one? The Gen X, right before millennials, kind of disagree on. We have different points of view in different aspects, and we want to get into what maybe causes us to be so angry at each other for those points of view. I know the main thing I always think about when I think of this conversation is modesty. I'm sure you guys have seen it. Everybody expects, not expects, I guess I won't say expects, but you see people say, oh, a woman should wear this and your skirt shouldn't be this high or this and that. And if it is, then you're a slut or you're a Jezebel or whatever else it is in these streets. And it's like, no, I just want to look cute. And it's a little hot outside. Where do you stand on the modesty culture, Jonna?
Well, now I will admit I'm a little old school on it, but my reasons for being so differ. So let me start by telling the audience who may not know, I'm 44. My background on this is a little bit different than some because I went to private schools for most of my elementary years, and they were Christian schools, and they were old school. So, we had a inch length on the skirt. There were no pants.
Wow.
Yeah. They would cut hair on boys if it was too long. This was really, they'll cut you up right there in the classroom.
Okay.
So that's what I came up in. Now, during my teenage years, I wore the least amount that I could get away with.
As we all did. Now, in the Christian schools, do you feel like then you have carried some of those ideals with you, even though you rebelled a bit as a teenager?
Yes, I did carry. Yes, yes, I absolutely have carried some of them with me. But I don't know, Shelly. The difference now, I often wonder when I see some of the younger people, and not just girls, because I've seen way too many other stuff that I'm like, what are we doing here? What is the purpose? But that's where I differ at. A lot of people are like, girls need to be covered. And I'm like, no. Let's not make this a male-female issue. But the modesty, to me, nowadays is a little bit out there. It's just a little further than where you pushed it. Yes. Yeah, I've seen too many cervices and uteri for my taste.
I hear you.
I'm just saying. I'm looking at all kind of stuff that I don't need to see.
All the body parts. Body parts
Yes.
we have normally kept tucked away.
Correct.
I guess that brings me to, okay, so let's go one for one. For
Okay.
instance, this generation, even the generation younger than me, I'm fine with a good, cute little crop top and a pair of high waist jeans, just so I'm showing a little bit of belly, but not too much belly. But I'm also a mom. So I feel like other women my age who are not mothers and have that nice fit, trim figure, they are wearing like super short crop tops with lower cut jeans. What are you thinking about that? When you see the women out here with the crop tops with under boob, that's what I was thinking of. The crop tops with the under boob and a pair of low cut jeans. Where does your mind go?
Now that's going to be situational for me.
Okay.
If we're in a situation that calls for a little less material, then if you can pull it, fine. The under boob, I'm like, what are you doing? But it's all good. I'm not going to make a huge deal. Now, for me, myself, my daughters, I don't want to see no under boob.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see none of that.
So
no
what
boob.
is that? Like, okay, if you see just Caroline Susan out on the streets with her under boob, it's whatever. But when it's your daughter, what makes it different?
Because she's mine. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is, I do believe that calls a different attention. And that, for me personally, mine may not be ready to handle both the positive and there's going to be some negative attention about that. So that's where I am with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Even when I wore the least amount possible, I got both positive and negative attention.
And some of the positive attention is not always attention that you want.
Correct. That is correct.
I feel like even when I'm not dressed, I guess with clothes that are giving me more exposure, I still kind of get attention that I don't really want. So I can understand maybe a teenage younger girl, you wanting to keep her in more reserved clothing so that she's not exposed. My only fear is that we all know whatever you tell kids, they always want to do the opposite. So how do you talk to your daughter about that? How do you tell her, I really don't want you wearing a crop top, without making it a point that she really wants to push back on?
I tell them the truth, the absolute truth. This is going to get you a little attention that may not be positive and that you may not know how to handle. And so we're just not going to do it right now. And it is a fine line because, first of all, you don't want to sexualize the kids and have them, hiding and you can't wear this, you can't do that. You don't want to give them the idea that you have to do and act a certain way, not to set the people around you off, because that is ridiculous. And that is the kind of the environment that I grew up in. I don't want that for them. So I just tell them the truth, that the absolute truth. This is a little more skinny. I had this conversation with my daughter yesterday, and she had on an outfit and I thought the shorts were just a tad short. And I'm like, you know what? You're on your way out the door. Go ahead. But I don't want to see these shorts anymore. Okay.
Okay. So for you, it's not really like, oh, I don't want you wearing it because girls who wear that are this, and girls who wear that get snatched up. It's more so, I want you to be able to dress in a way that you can control or have some sort of control about your environment. Because if you go out, obviously, if you go out in jeans, you are going to get a lot less attention than if you go out in, I'm not saying she had on coochie cutters, but the coochie cutter shorts.
It was cutting a little close.
Listen, they get like that, but I see what you mean. The only fear that I have is when I hear, not you, I love your opinion. I love the way that you speak about this topic. But when I hear other older people speak about this topic, it gets into the area of victim blaming. Like, people are like, well, if somebody grabs you up, that's why. Look at you. Look at what you have on. I'm sure you've heard this too.
Oh yeah, and that's probably why my attitude has kind of shifted. Now, depending on how outrageous the outfit is, I can default back into that simply because it's what I came up in. And I can default into, girl, you are playing way too much and you need to do something with that. But it has to be really, really, really ridiculous. But I did that whole victim blaming thing, and I love that term for this because that's what it is. And I don't like it at all. And I think it's very sexist. And I am all things, oh boy, my cohort Sundays is going to kill me for this. But anyway, I am all things women. I love all things female power. You write your own story, you have your own everything. And so I don't like the idea of having to do anything simply because I'm female. I don't like it at all.
No, and I agree. I absolutely agree. I feel like there's a lot of expectations sometimes for women. And just like we're talking about the crop tops and the low cut shorts or the low cut jeans for girls, I mean, obviously we're seeing almost a revolution of the LGBTQ community. And I love it. I'm here for it. I'm fully supportive. I'll go at anyone's head about that topic because I feel like everybody should be able to represent themselves in the way that they so please. My only concern is sometimes, just like the girls with the crop tops and the shorts, I'll see gentlemen out here with like super short shorts on, stuff hanging out the bottom, prints that are not even just prints. It might as well just be a casting because we can see it all.
Twigs and berries.
Yeah. Twigs and berries.
Beans and franks.
I'm just like, why do you even want to be out here like this? I'm like, and it makes me, it's crazy because I say for the girls, I'm like, wear whatever you want. I do understand it. I'll probably adapt some of what you told me about your daughters. But when I see the men and I'm like, why? Maybe I am judging a little bit because I'm just like, I can see everything, sir. Like, you're not, Victoria's Secret is out. If that's where we're going. And they really are.
Yeah.
So what do you think when you see, because I know you've seen it, the short
yeah.
I mean, if they twerk just a little bit, you've seen all the twigs and berries, as Aunt Jean said.
Twigs and berries, beans and franks. You can see everything.
Yes. Beans and franks. Yes.
Listen, it is, in the recent years, well, no, let me not say that because this is not new. But some of these outfits, and especially with this new legging ministry that the men have going, I'm like, you know what?
I'm reading.
We could give you.
And King Coogie said that clothing is an art form, another form of expression in art, no matter how tasteless we might think it is. I absolutely agree, King. I think the only concern that I have is that on the other opposite end of the string, where the men are coming out with these shorts and the twigs and berries are all out for exposure, if a woman walks outside with no bra on and it's a little cold and she gets a little nippy, the whole community is in an uproar. She may as well have walked out nude. So what concerns me there is it gets to the point where we, even though we don't want it to be about gender, it's about gender.
It is. And that the uproar doesn't necessarily have to do with what she's got on. The base of that is control. And that's always been what it is to control women. Oh boy, and keep the foot on the neck.
Do you feel it coming for you, Jonathan?
I do.
I absolutely agree that it's about control because for me, in either one of those circumstances, if I were out with my young children, I would probably direct my children's attention in the other direction. But I'm sure there are some fathers who would be out with their sons and not direct them away from the woman, but almost aggressively direct them away from the man. So what's up with that? Does anybody want to feed into that in the chat? Have you seen this at all, Jonna?
I have, and my good friend Tyrone says, but the uproar is normally from other women. Is it?
So that's the thing. I think that's what you were speaking on when you were saying there's negative feedback and there's positive feedback. Of course, the negative feedback is from other women because oftentimes we're the ones that have been victimized for what we've worn. So I feel like when you see a younger girl wearing a certain thing, it does almost kind of become an impulse to be like, oh, honey, maybe a different shirt or maybe a different pair of shorts because you have maybe been victimized. And that's probably not right, but that's kind of where my head goes. Women say it because it's like, I don't want her to experience what I've experienced.
Yeah, that would be my thing. As an older woman, my God, do I have to describe myself like that? Whatever.
No.
As an older woman, my question would be why? Why? Now, if you have this, whatever you have on because you like it and you are 100% cool with whatever attention you're going to get with it, so be it. But I think a lot of times young girls can kind of get in a space where we're doing this for attention because there is a lack there. There's something is lacking there. And now that concerns me a lot because the attention that you're getting is not going to fill that void.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. And I think a big thing that plays into that we're maybe not mentioning yet is social media. You can get on Instagram any given day of the week and see booty and see breastises and thighs and a 2-piece combo all over the feed. And so it's like these young
And I do
girls,
think that is one of the biggest differences between your generation and mine. There was no Facebook, there was no Instagram. Only behind that you saw was everybody's at school.
Y'all had Jet magazine and Vibe. I've seen the back of a Vibe magazine.
But Jet only had that one page, the Jet Beauty of the Week, with the swimsuit. I remember thinking, man, she is really naked. Well, now that's not the case. You know, page 19 on Jet, right?
King Coochie knows the page number.
Yeah, he knows. Look, and Michelle Brown also said, she says, how I tell my girls is that their clothes are a representation of them. How do you want to represent yourself? What would you say about your classmates in that outfit? And a lot of the time it gets a blank. The girls have nothing else to say back. And I agree with that because it's like, you put on these clothes for the likes and for the attention, but do you think to how far it's going to carry you?
Right.
And I've done that before as well. I've put something on or bought something because it's like, ooh, I like this. And I've seen it on the internet. And then it just sits in my closet. And I'm like, why? With the tags on it. I'm like, I'm not even wearing it. I have nowhere to wear it. I can't see myself in this leather cat lady jumpsuit with 3 kids at Walmart. Like, what am I even going to look like?
Yeah, that's a good one. But you should wear your cat suit to Walmart if you want to.
I mean, yeah, I can understand that. But, practicality comes into play, too. Because it's like, I'm already going to be sweating with 3 children. What am I going to look like with 3 children and cat ears? Looking like Halle Berry, 4 Halle Berrys stuffed into this one suit.
No.
But I appreciate the opinion on that topic for sure. I think modesty culture is one thing that really gets a disconnect between the 2 generations. But I do appreciate your opinion. I see that although you agree with dressing more modestly, it's not for the reason of controlling women and keeping women into a box.
No control. Never that. And if we have to put our drawers on and walk outside to resist, so be it. I'm not putting mine on and going out there, but I'll be cheering the rest of y'all on.
So that brings me to what I was just about to ask about. You've heard of, I'm sure, Amber Rose, the mother of all sluts, as she calls herself, and she has her annual slut walk. How? I mean, how are we to explain this to our children? Because it's 4 blocks, I believe, even more, in LA, where everyone is in underwear a lot of the time. Have you not heard of it? I see your face.
I'm like, tell me about the slut walk now.
So she puts together an event. It's kind of like a pride parade or any other parade where the women, the men, whoever comes out, and the idea is to dress minimally. The videos I've seen, people will tote, I mean, for lack of better words, they'll tote their sex toys with them in their hands, and they'll storm down the street like, hey, 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 it's time to party. And they'll have on their lingerie, they'll be shirtless. And I'm just like, coronavirus is out here. I don't know if you should take those back home and use them. I think that they should go back in the trash. But it's like, although I'm fully supportive of wear whatever you want to wear, it's like, Amber, although you may have good intentions, I don't know if these people following you have this. It's kind of like, and please don't come at me in the comments, I feel like it's kind of like Donald Trump. Donald Trump may not himself be a racist, but sir, you are inciting the racists. So I correlate that to Amber in saying, like, you may not yourself be going home and using these sex toys that you're toting through the street, but the other people maybe. I'm not saying, Kim, I see you. I'm not saying Donald Trump's not a racist. I'm just saying if he's not, that doesn't matter because he's causing the racists to act on whatever the thoughts that they do have.
I'm trying to figure out what is the point, though. What is the point of doing the slut walk half naked with your sex toys?
We're not shaming. We're not shaming. I just, again, that's my question: is what is the point?
Okay.
I understand being supportive of women in every light, and I absolutely am. I'm supportive of women from the near to the far. I don't care if you're a sex worker. I don't care if you're a government employee. I'm here to stand with you. But I do question the slut walk. I do. If anybody has 45 is a racist, I know Kim, I swear. I'm not defending Donald Trump. I'm just making the correlation is I just don't understand the point.
Yeah, I don't either. Now I know Amber has a little bit of the feminism thing going, but now for me personally, the slut walk is going a little bit far because just because I'm pro women doesn't mean that I want to be walking down the street with a dildo. Can we say that on reBOOT? Yes. So what is the point? I just, what are we doing here? Now that, no, I'm not going to be able to ride with you, Amber.
Yeah,
exactly. I love the hair though, but I'm not going to be able to ride with you.
I've always questioned it. I'm just like, I get it, Amber. I get what you're trying to do, but this ain't that. The math is not mathing.
But is she trying to break the norm? Is that what she's trying to do? Is break the norm?
That's what she has said. She said she's trying to popularize. I don't even want to use normalize slut culture. So she's like, there are women who are sluts, and that's okay, and they're gonna storm the streets of LA.
Now I can probably shock everybody that's in here right now. So hold your weave, hold your wig. Yes, hold on tight. I could be a member of a nudist colony. I really could. Clothes do not represent anything at all to me. And so you've seen one, you've seen them all. One big body, one little body, one skinny body, one fat body. So at the end of the day, I'm not that one that feels any direction at all that clothes speak about who or what I am. Now the dildo and you getting ready to walk around, having all kind of gyrations and carrying on to represent the slut culture, that's a whole nother thing. However, my thing is she trying to shock back to the idea of the norm? And I'm gonna come here with that, and then I'll let y'all take it away. Jonna, fix your face. I know you're trying to listen and hear what I'm saying, but
I really to make sure that I was right.
I see you clutching pearls. I see y'all clutching pearls. Because at the end of the day, it's equivalent to me of when I was in clinical pastoral education. One of my instructors for didactic was an African, and he took us to an African restaurant to eat, and he began to talk about how they use bread and they use their fingers because forks are foreign to the body. God didn't make you with that. And so they don't eat with utensils like we eat with utensils. And it's not something that is barbaric. It's not something that's considered lacking culture or whatever the case may be. They find it very hard to fathom why people choose to take something that's not a part of themselves to enjoy something as critical and as vital as eating, and then put a foreign or inanimate object between you and the experience that God can give you and has given you to enjoy it with your fingers, your hands, your face, whatever. So that same concept that I would say, and I'm just interjecting that to try to open our minds. And I'm not trying to, push now everybody needs to be in the nudist colony. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, when God created us, He created us naked, and we were not ashamed. And I don't have a problem with an idea that at some point in time, totally non-sexualized, totally not about perverts run around trying to see somebody else's body, but strictly a matter of where we lose this concept of whatever we have created in our minds as to what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. It's interesting to me what we considered a toga back in earlier centuries, what we considered to be gender specific to women, gender specific to men, back and forth, covering of the head, the veils, and so on and so forth. This is all stuff that we've created and made norms, but who says it's normal? And why do we have to abide by it? If I was created naked, there's nothing wrong with me being naked. But however, I know people can't handle that. And people cannot handle that. And you got perverts everywhere. And subsequently, what has created as such is, to me, that's where a lot of the perversion comes from, because now, just like we talked about, and I'm going to go back to the other week when Lena was on here and Lena began to talk about the clothes, and immediately people have a very strong opinion about what kind of person you are based on the clothing. And Lena was saying, I should be able to wear whatever I want to wear. And I agree with that. I shouldn't have to put on the whole armor of God. I shouldn't have to put on a girdle. I shouldn't have to put on all of these other things that people have created and called that decency and morality. Who says it is? Because at the end of the day, some of those people are the strongest perverts you ever wanted to see. Some of the people that clothe it up from neck all the way down to their ankles, these are, for lack of a better word, sex addicts. They enjoy the pleasure of taking the clothes off. And then some folks don't want to tell the truth and shame the devil, but they taking their clothes off every chance they get, but then they come out looking holier than thou and looking like Jesus sent them. But when we go behind the scenes and see what y'all doing behind closed doors, and as I told some of the ladies at your church, stop talking about the prostitutes, because at least they charge for it. You giving yours away for free.
Correct. Wow. You got a point right there.
Well, that is on point. It's so on point. And that's you say that I should be able to wear whatever I want to wear. I think that's absolutely right. But do we have to keep in mind the environment that we're in? Like, obviously, you're not wearing a bathing suit to a courtroom.
Well, I'm going to go back to what I said to begin with. If we had gone back to the original concept of us being naked and not ashamed, it wouldn't have made a difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
no. It makes a difference because we have set up criteria that said this is appropriate, this is not appropriate. This is good, this is not good. This is bad, this is not bad. This is slutty, this is not slutty. And if you choose any of these that fall in this category, then we're going to label you as such, which is where the victim blaming comes. Because then when you get to court after somebody sexually abused you or whatever, it's not because the pervert is a pervert. It's because you entice them with this clothing, when the reality of it is we got to get to the core of the matter. If you put on everything from neck down to your toes and you encounter a sex addict, they gonna rape you, and it doesn't have anything to do with the clothes you got on your body.
Mm-hmm. That is correct. Now, I would agree 100% with that.
It does. But let's remove the sexual aspect. I want to talk more along the lines of just professionalism. Is there a certain type of professional wear, not so much, I guess we can't remove the sexualism, because I think the things that would be deemed inappropriate would be the tight fitting pants for men and the low cut shirts for women. Is there a certain neckline you avoid when you know you're going for a job interview? Is there a certain type of pants for men in the chat that you avoid to wear when you know you're going into a professional setting.
But that takes me back to I am not my hair, because then you can say if I wear natural hair that's inappropriate. If I wear dreads, that's inappropriate. If I wear a certain type of this and that and the other, why do we feel that we are so it's so important to us to tell people what their boundaries are and what is right and what is wrong? Johnny, you really squirming over there.
I'm just my thing on that, I hear what you're saying, and yes, we should be able to wear, we were born naked, but and all of that, but that's just simply not the world we live in today. If you show up to corporate America for a job interview with your ass out, you are not getting hired. Now that's just it.
I know it's difficult because I think that absolutely is the case.
Mm-hmm.
But there
it's
are
just not going to happen.
Cases for Black people, if we show up with our natural hair, we're not getting hired. I mean, where's the line? I think the only difference that I can see here plainly is that clothes are something you can change. You can get a different outfit. You can, modify your outfit. You can wear that low-cut shirt with a cami underneath it so that it's not exposing so much.
But you can change your hair. You can perm it. You can press it.
That's true. You can change your hair, but without damage. If I want to keep my natural hair as it grows out of my head, like the majority of white people do, I should be able to, right?
My beautician did my hair wonderfully, and it was never damaged. But it was permed, and it was processed, and it was colored.
Right. Well, I mean, when I say without damage, I guess I mean without processing. Like, can I wear I should be able to wear my fro. I should be able to wear my twist out, all of that, my braid out with no problem, because this is just how my hair grows.
At the end of the day, processed and perm doesn't necessarily mean damaged. So I guess I'm having a reaction to that word. That's relative. It's damaged to you because you want to be natural, but to somebody else, they're like, it's an adjustment, and I'm going to be transparent and I'm going to shut up. It's an adjustment for me to wear natural hair because my hair has been permed weekly, my whole entire professional life, weekly. Every hair, and John is shaking her head yes, because she know I'm not lying. Every hair in place weekly. So going natural to me and going gray to me is a complete transformation of my person. I don't like it, but I'm adjusting to it.
So how do you feel about that? Do you feel like it was necessary for you to keep your hair processed and straight through your professional career, or was that just your preference?
I'm going to say it was my preference because that's the way I was taught and raised. And as a matter of fact, even when the fro was in, the afro, but we called it the fro back in the day, even when the fro was in, my parents did not allow us to wear the fro because the fro was even a symbol of some level of militant, not just I'm wearing the afro. But for many, there was a level of militance that went along with that. And so many people in the church community taught against wearing your natural hair in the Black church.
That's correct.
So I did not wear a fro, could not wear a fro.
I didn't realize.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. That's the absolute truth. So then when we get to the day and time now where I'm dealing with the individuals that feel like, and I've had this conversation, the younger generation that feels like I'm a sellout by wearing processed and permed hair versus my natural hair. Why can't you embrace the beauty that you are without the perm? And I just flip that on the other side and say, okay, I don't have a problem with the perm. So you see it as damaging my hair. I see it as this is the way my hair's been all my natural life since I've been here, able to do it, get it permed, get it pressed, get it whatever. Get them Marcel irons out, y'all. Get them Marcel irons out. Click, 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 turn, turn, click, 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 turn, turn. Y'all don't even know what I'm talking about. So get those Marcel irons out and do my hair. Stop walking around with a nappy head. So this was the culture in the time and when I was born in the 60s. And so you also had that counterculture of the Afro coming. So you get one people saying that's natural. I love myself the way I am. And I look at my hair process and say, that's natural for Regina. I love my hair the way it was. But at the same time, you have many, many people that are offended within the Black community by my pressed hair.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just want to be clear. When I use the word damage, I'm using it very loosely. I believe you can have healthy, relaxed hair fully. When I say damage, I guess I just mean you're taking out your natural curl. You're destroying your natural curl for a different style. I don't mean like, oh, your hair is raggedy by any means, because I've seen that press and I've seen that perm, and you knock it out the park, girl. But I just mean like I think that as Black people, we should not have to do anything I don't think that was right. I don't think it was right that your parents made you wear your hair a certain way just to present yourself to the world. I think
and I guess I'm saying to the point, for my point, and going back to Marlena's point a couple of weeks ago when she made this statement, let people be free to choose and be themselves and stop putting all the boundaries on there that then we turn around and make very, very stringent judgment statements, mostly negative if it doesn't meet our criteria and guidelines, as if there's something wrong with their choice. And that's all I'm gonna let y'all go on. But I just wanted to interject that because I could be in a nudist colony. It wouldn't bother me. It absolutely positively. And I listen, I ain't trying to look at nobody's body. I'm not getting off. I'm not getting none of that. I don't need. Listen, I'm just like, if you catch me at home in my house, you gonna catch me with nothing.
And half the time that's me as well. But I think one thing that we that's removed from the situation is that a nudist colony is just that. It's a colony, a group of people who live separately from the rest of society. They're not normally working in the corporate world, and if they are, I'm sure they're not going to work naked.
But they do it separately because it's not accepted. If you go over into the areas where natives and Africans are still doing, whether it's here in this country or whether it's in the continent of Africa or any place else where there may be people that have marginal interaction with what we call cultured people, you're going to find a whole bunch of naked people and they don't think anything strange about it. We think it's strange because what we call come into culture, and we're no longer, savages, which natives never were. We're no longer all these other negative terms that we ascribe to people who choose that way of life. And so you leave that way of life because you get tired of being called a savage. You get tired of being called some other kind of name. And so you leave that way of life. Do you believe in it? Not necessarily, but you don't want to be labeled negatively. And whereas y'all got a problem, and I'm saying y'all, I'm not talking to you specifically, I'm saying, rhetorically, y'all got a problem because you're all into sex, and you automatically equate nakedness to sex. If I start taking something off right now, honey, twigs and berries start standing at attention, nipples stop popping up and all this kind of stuff. There are folks that none of that bothers them. None of that bothers them. So at the end of the day, that's because psychologically we've been sexualized and we've bought into it.
So you think office culture and wearing a suit to a corporate office or wearing business casual to your financial firm that you work at, you think that's all just cultural?
It doesn't make a difference, because if I have the knowledge of the stocks, if I have the knowledge of how to manipulate the money, if I have the knowledge and the understanding, what is the suit other than a trapping? That suit doesn't make me know how to manipulate and how to maneuver in the market. That suit is a status symbol more times than not. That suit is a statement to say I have power and I'm in certain positions that I don't come in here business casual because I'm at the upper echelon. You can tell that just by the clothes I wear, and the clothes I wear then begin to delineate us between the higher ups and the lower downs, and I'm opposed to that.
Right.
Because you wear a suit and because you're white collar. Why do we say white collar, blue collar? All of that is associated and affiliated with the clothes. And the blue collar says one thing, the white collar says something else. And at the end of the day, all you're doing is separating me from you.
So Angine is saying, instead of trying to conform and climb that social ladder, we should be trying to destroy it. We should be trying to wear what we please, style our hair how we please, and you're either going to hire me or you're going to have nobody to hire, because this is what everyone's doing.
I'm just putting my opinion out there. Now I'm gonna let y'all. Johnny, you done faded away. Come on, sis. Come on back. Come on back.
I'm just listening, but and I hear what you're saying, but like I said before, it's just simply not the world that we live in, and we do have our norms and expectations, and if you want to live in this world, then you have a choice to make. Either you're going to get hired or you're not. I'm just saying.
Plain as that.
I think that's unfortunately the case. I really do. And I think that at that point in time where people were almost forced to relax their hair, whether you liked it or not, that was the case during that time as well. That if you had an afro or braids or locks or whatever the case, you were probably passed over for certain positions or certain, I guess, just positions, jobs, or religious, or whatever the case was.
Is that fair?
I don't think it is. No, I absolutely don't think it is. And although I think that we should be dressing a certain way because that's what culture has brought us to, I don't think that's fair either. I absolutely do agree with you, Angie, and I think that we should be able to do freely how we please, because the funny thing to me is when the pandemic hit and everyone started working from home on Zoom, it didn't matter what I had on. I could have on my SpongeBob pajamas, I could be naked, I could have on whatever, and you wouldn't care because we're in this Zoom meeting and I'm still doing my job. So why is it that because I'm getting up and coming into the office, I need to get up and put on a blouse and slacks and dress shoes or whatever, and heels or whatever? So I do agree with you. I just think that breaking the mold is going to take time. It's going to be very difficult.
Let's just do this. Everybody in chat, if in that Zoom meeting that you've been attending at your job, you had to stand up and show your full body, how many of y'all know y'all couldn't stand up? That's all I'm going to say.
I can't stand up right now, but continue.
That's all I'm saying. And has that impacted or changed the way that you work or the way that you operate? Not at all.
I know I couldn't. I just finished doing a few courses via Zoom, or it was the other one, but still via virtual chat, and
y'all are naked. You are the way.
I could barely move the camera this way or that way, because if I wasn't naked, one of my children was running around in underwear or nothing. So.
And why are you naked at home? Why are you naked at home? Because you don't want to put them clothes on. You do not want to put those clothes on.
I see what you mean, because I don't. I agree.
And that's not just a small number. I'd say the majority of the folk that are on chat or in Zoom, when they're doing these meetings for their professional jobs, all the way from the bottom to the absolute upper echelon, them jokers cannot stand up on these Zoom meetings because they're naked.
So, Regina, you think that we should be running around out conducting business, exchanging and transacting just bare, just ass out, just
I don't care. You know what? Unless it belongs to me, and unless I got an interest in it, I don't care. Do what you want to do. You seen one, you seen them all. You seen one, you seen them all.
I don't have a problem with the naked body, but naked bodies have stuff, and I feel like
that's what you were taught.
No, ma'am. There's stuff. There's scent. There's liquid, and I want you to put something on it so that it don't get on me.
Well, you ain't gonna be that close to me.
I don't want to be at the bank or whatever with anybody else's stuff. No, I need you to put on some drawers. At the minimum, I'm gonna need you to have some drawers on, please.
One reason said that's the real reason he's not on camera in his morning broadcast, because he's broadcasting naked.
Another thing that comes into play here is that there are creepy crawlies that can jump out of places onto you or stick on the surfaces, and then if I touch that surface, now I've got the creepy crawly usher.
I don't want no crawlies. I don't want no fluids.
I don't want
from
none of
anything.
the creepy crawlies from your beds. So I mean, as much as I want to say, I think you can wear whatever, you just can't be naked. That's it.
Twigs and berries have sap in them. That's natural. So you don't ask a twig on a tree or the berry not to leak. You don't say, oh, that's indecent. Oh, that's nasty. I don't want no. Matter of fact, y'all say the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, and y'all want it plump and juicy. I'm just saying. So
keep your juice on your side, though.
Right. You need
your own juice.
Walk around with some,
unless I ask you for it, then you can share. But keep your own juice, please. I need you to keep your own juice.
Okay, I'm gonna let y'all go on. I'm sorry.
You gotta keep the wet wipes if we're gonna just be out here willy nilly in the.
I'm gonna wipe it wet. So yeah, you got wet wipes. You just have to change the way you think about it. It's a wet wipe.
I can't pull it.
Damon said he did dress in his business casual working from home. Okay, Damon, we see you. I didn't. I can honestly say that I did not.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. But did y'all see? Was it Damon Wayans that put on a public service commercial where his son? And this is a true story. I'm not joking, Ellie. I need to go out and find the video. Damon Wayans' son wanted him to do some kind of promo for him. So he asked his dad to come out and do the promo. So from all of this that you can see in the zoom up, he was dressed appropriately like you would expect him to be. And then when he got done, he thought his son had disconnected the camera and turned him off. And when he stood up, he was definitely butt naked. And we had all of it. You got the full glory. You got all the
boxes on or nothing?
No, he was
You
naked.
saw twigs and berries.
But my thing on that is I wasn't concerned about the twigs or the berries. I want to know what you left on that seat. What did you leave where you were sitting?
His chair. He's at his house.
No, I'm not gonna be able to do it.
Absolutely not. Even when I'm out of the shower, I'm one of those people who does not like to get dressed in the restroom after I take a shower. I even sit my towel down on my bed before I sit down to dry off.
Me too. Put my towel down.
So I am very much concerned with what he left on that seat, and I feel sorry because he got money. So I feel sorry for his cleaning lady.
Me too. But we got to wipe up your juice. What else? What else is covered in juice? No, Mr. Wayans, I'm not going to be able to do it.
Fix it, Jesus.
So while I'm not trying to tear down the norms, I'm addressing the reality that I would not have a problem in a place where there were no clothes worn. It would not affect me. It would not affect me. Now, I know folks that, honey, you ain't gonna see them without. My grandfather never came out of his bedroom ever in all the years that I knew him, where he was not fully, when I say fully dressed, I'm talking about undershirt, full shirt, pants, belt, tie, everything. When he came out the room, I'm just not gonna live like that. I'm not gonna live like that.
Right. So Tall Pump said, "Girl, bye. You're never naked in your own home." I mean, I'm naked in my own home. Obviously, I do have 3 kids, but I don't just walk around all day naked in my own home. I don't. And the towel down for the shower is mainly because I don't know. Like, it just, there's something about it. There's something weird to me about just sitting my soaking wet butt. Obviously, I just washed it, but my soaking wet butt just down on my blankets. Now my blanket's gonna have I don't know. It's just weird to me. I gotta put the towel down.
Baby, put your towel down, okay?
I gotta put my towel down.
Put 2 of them down if you want to.
On that point, though, Tall Pumps, I do have a friend who told me that when it's bedroom time, she has a specific sheet that she keeps underneath her bed, and she pulls out, and her husband lay it over their normal sheets. I'm just like, how? Because once you're in the mood, you're in the mood. Like, we can change the sheets after, but like to sit out a whole sheet over the bed before, no, I'm not. That's one thing I'm not doing. So, I mean, the shower and the other things are just different for me, I guess.
But do you guys not feel that these are some elements of socialization and how you were socialized in your household or in your community?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And in my mom's house, and she's in the chat, she'll probably speak for it. We clothes on before you leave your bedroom. In any case, what are you out here in your underwear for? Anytime you walked outside the bedroom in your underwear or even too short pajamas, it was you were done for. I remember I was 16 years old and I had a pair of white jeans, and every time I wore them, you could see my penny lines. So naturally, I took myself to the store and I bought myself a thong because I'm like, this will keep people from being able to see my penny lines through my white jeans. My mother saw me in that thong and whooped my ass from corner to corner, back to the house, all through the house. And I'm just like, what is it? Like, why are you beating me? And she's just like, you little fast ass. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be fast. I literally just didn't want anybody to see my panty lines in my white jeans. But it's everything to do with how I was socialized with nudity and clothing growing up.
Yeah, that's going to be one of those generational things again. You know, the thong is the horse panty. Ooh. And that's just, I don't think so, but a lot of women.
But your husband wants to see you in one.
Well, mine doesn't, but I think so.
Well, okay.
I can't. But this kind of talking about how my mom and growing up socially, how that all relates to how we want to dress and how we perceive people to be dressed. That brings me to another topic that I really wanted to address today. In the divide between generations, we have the divide of spanking or whooping. I just recently learned of the term free range parenting versus traditional, I guess, parenting. Free range parenting is mostly like letting your children at every age just make their own decisions and letting their whatever the reaction is, whatever the result is, play out. Where are you at, Jonna? Are you more free range? Are you letting your kids do whatever and bump their head when they need to bump their head and reap the benefits when they need to?
I am somewhere in the middle. I have spanked, but I have moved away from that because it's not effective here. But
do you think it's not effective? How old are your children, if you don't mind?
12, 10, and 7.
Okay. So you got a decent age range.
Yeah. 12, 10, and that's right. 12, 10, and 7. The spanking was, one of my kids, I could spank her and she would purposely stand there and look, like, you're going to have to beat me to death before I break. So I'm like, okay, we're done with this. Mm-hmm. So, and honestly, I loved that in her, loved it in her, and I don't want to break it. So I decided to move away from that with them. Now, do they get on my nerves and I think to myself, oh, I could tear your ass up right now? Yes, every single day. But I don't do it because it's just not effective. So I kind of move towards, I tell them, whatever instructions I'm going to have. And if you choose to do opposite, whatever the consequence is, we have to go with it. And that is way more difficult than spanking, to be honest, because, you lost privileges or you missed this, you missed that, and they're brokenhearted about it.
My dad always says when the kids are on punishment, you're on punishment.
That's correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if you take their stuff away from them, they're going to be up. Then guess who they're talking to? They're talking to me nonstop. Mm-hmm. So, that's an issue.
Yeah, absolutely. I try to be more free range. I try to let my son make decisions. I mean, the youngest one, he's a baby, he can't, but I try to let my son and my daughter make decisions and just kind of see where they lead them. Um, However, my oldest son will make the same decision 5 times in a row within 5 minutes of each other and get the same result and still go back for the sixth time. And as a mother, I just watch and I'm like, bro, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
This is not working for you. So try a different avenue. I don't know. It's hard. It's very hard. I
Yes.
I have spanked. I have not spanked so much recently because I get to the point where it's just like I feel bad because I'm like, am I spanking out of frustration? Because I normally wouldn't spank you for this. And I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the person disciplining my kids because I'm upset. I want to discipline because they need the discipline. And I think that's why I'm trying to move away from spanking. I'm not perfect. I will pop a hand real quick, or a thigh, or a leg, especially that little girl. You have daughter. You said you have a daughter. You have
3
two,
daughters.
all three daughters.
Mhm.
All three
Fun,
daughters.
fun. All 3.
Who? This little girl. This little girl, Jonna. Oh, listen. The Lord knew. The Lord knew to only give me one little girl because she's my match. She's
Mhm.
absolutely my match. She's only 2. The sass is here, the crossing the arms, stomping down the hallway, snatching away from me. All of it is here. And I don't see it going anywhere. And I tell my husband all the time, I want her to keep, just like you, I want her to keep that resiliency about her and that, um, I guess, just being defiant. I want her to keep that because we need those type of women out here. But also, why do I have to be the first victim? Like, this isn't fair.
Well, because you're there. Now, at that point, at that age, I was still doing a little swatting. So,
Mhm.
and again, because I still get some stomping, I still get some attitude, but I get,
What do you
I will
do?
strip
Do
you.
you
Oh, baby, I'll strip you
breath?
down to your nightgown and your satin bonnet, and it could be 3:30 in the afternoon. Good night. Whatever we have to do, because I'm not gonna deal with it. I just can't
Mhm.
do it. But I don't think I just can't. The spanking is just not effective because I feel like it hurts the spirit more than it corrects behavior,
Mhm.
and especially coming from me, I don't want to do that as their mother. I should be a safe place, unless I know this will be a big deal, especially amongst generations. Now, the oldest age in my house, their grandmothers are 80 and 65. So that's the spanking. Spank. Don't look, don't blink, don't take a deep breath,
That's the
don't turn
grab whatever's next
around.
to me and throw it
Yeah.
at you generation.
So that is a huge issue
Mhm.
here in that generation.
And my
But
mom was old school too. We got
yeah.
whooped where the dishes weren't washed, the floor wasn't
Mhm.
swept. She put her head on the side of the counter like this, and there was a crumb still on there. I mean, we got whooped for everything. So it's just like, I don't want to do that, but I also don't want to be the type of parent where my kids just walk all over me.
Oh, yeah, I hear you on that. But I think with consistency, there
Hmm.
can be a balance, and it can be just as effective. At least it is here. It is slower. But I think when kids react because I don't want to get a spanking, is that really correcting behavior, or are they just scared of you?
Good point. Good
Is
point.
it really correcting behavior, or are they what's going on inside of a kid's brain when you have to say, I gotta do this, and I gotta hurry up and do it, otherwise I'm gonna get beat? That's not something I want for my
Yeah,
kids.
absolutely. I think another thing I need to move away from, if I'm gonna eliminate spanking, I gotta stop making threats because I will threaten all day and never lift a hand or a belt. I will
Yeah.
get in there and do it before I, and never get to the before or after or
Mhm.
anything. It never happens. And I
I hear you
think
on that.
as they're getting older, they're starting to realize, oh, she'll say it all day and night,
You just
but she's not really
talking.
gonna. Yeah, she's not really gonna touch it. So I have to think of another way to discipline that they understand the repercussions of. They're
Hmm.
also responsive to. because no, I will idle threat myself to death.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll be the one in the corner in my bedroom, like, they stole it. Like, I'm the one.
I hear you. If I could give you one piece of advice, is stop that today. The very first time you say it, make it happen. Even if you still have to go in your room and cry because now they can't watch Paw Patrol or whatever. But make it happen. They'll get it. It won't take them but a minute. They'll get it together.
And I've learned taking away those electronics cuts.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it cut.
I can get this whole house clean, sparkling, together, the car washed. Then you pull together money, pay the bills.
Give me that phone.
Please give me my phone back.
Now, Mish said respect, spanking when necessary, but going without discipline, the real world is about to be in a real challenge. Speak to that, ladies.
Yes, I agree. I don't want to spank my kids into submission to where they're not only subservient to me, but they're also subservient to the rest of the world. But like I said before, I also don't want to be that walk all over. So I agree. There has to be a healthy balance. And maybe like you, Jonna, it will get to the point where I won't even have to raise a hand or a belt or whatever. I'll just have to say, give me that phone. I got to give a phone first. My son's 6, about to be 7. He's already asking for an iPhone. And I'm just like, I didn't get
an iPhone.
An iPhone. I'm like, I didn't get an iPhone. Not even an iPhone. I got my little flip black phone from Cricket when I was like 13. So I'm like, is this something that's going to change? Because the generations before us, y'all didn't have cell phones until you were like 18, 19, 20s. And then we got cell phones in like middle schoolish. So are we supposed to give the phones to the younger ones? Does your 7-year-old have a phone, Jonna?
She does.
Oh my gosh, Jonna, I wanted you to say no.
No, ma'am. She does have a phone, and I'm still on the fence. I don't know whether that was a good idea or not, because outside of their little chores and things like that, if I let them, they will sit on those phones all day long. Mm-hmm. So I'm still on the fence.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you let them use them on the charger?
They probably have.
They probably do. That's one rule I've been able to successfully administer in my house. Once it dies, you're not going to sit there on it on the charger. Go find a book, go find a toy, go find something. But also, he doesn't have his own personal device. I can understand when it gets to the point where you're like texting and having a conversation, or on the phone having a conversation, you'll need to use it on the charger because your conversation's been interrupted.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Can I interject one of my favorite stories about Jonna? And I hope she's okay with me telling this story.
I am.
So, baby girl is being potty trained, I believe it was. And so Jonna is in the living room, and baby girl was, sometimes they need a little time to sit there. So baby girl was in the bathroom with a little time to sit there, and Jonna got a phone call, and it was baby girl telling her, "Mama, I need help."
What happened was she kept calling me. She kept yelling my name, and I wouldn't respond because I wasn't ready. Now, she was about 4, so she was potty trained, but she had a number 2, so she needed a little extra help in there. And she kept calling me, and I was like, I'm not answering, I'm not ready. And next thing I knew, my phone was like, and she had sent me a text that I need help in the bathroom.
She was like, come help me right now.
And I thought, wow.
Oh, that was the best. Okay, so Black Queen Love, we love you, sis. Thanks for being on there. She says, phones for children are very distracting to her. She's looking at read a child a book, go outside for exercise, have a family game night, something else besides being on that phone. And what do you ladies say?
Well, again, this is the world we live in today. My kids read books on phones all the time. So that's more of another generational thing. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of books to read that are electronic.
Yep. And my son had a tablet. He got one for his second Christmas. So he was 1, just about to be 2, because his birthday is shortly after Christmas. I think that they can be educational. If you monitor the use and you monitor what's on them, they can be used as a powerful tool, because the classroom these days is digital. There hardly are any books anymore, any printed books anymore. A lot of what they do is on these iPads. Last year, my son was in kindergarten. This year, he's in first grade, and a tablet is required. That we don't issue them; the school issues them, but a tablet is required for schoolwork. And I have a friend whose daughter is in private school, and a tablet's required for them for everything. They have like their own profile. They use it in the classroom. They take it on field trips, everything. So I think we're in the generation of electronics, and where I don't want my child to be overexposed to the point where they don't know anything else. I also don't want them to be behind. I don't want them to get to the classroom where they're supposed to be using their tablet or other electronic devices and they don't know how to use them.
That was my husband's big thing, because like I said, I was on the fence about all of the electronics, but it's like, we don't introduce this to them, they will be behind. When we had back to school nights last week, there are barely any physical books, tangible books in the class. My second grader has a tablet, iPads, fifth grader iPads, the seventh grader. I mean, even right now, I'm getting alerts because it's after 3 o'clock on what they did today and what's missing and what they need to do. Everything's digital, we've got to move forward with that part. Not everything is not going to be a book anymore. It's just not. And that's just it.
Black Queen also said, my niece received a phone at 11. She's now 18. Her attention span is very short. I believe it is because she was introduced to electronics too early. I can understand that. I think I mean, obviously I'm not a professional in like childhood development or whatever, but I think that the kids are learning to communicate in their own ways. They do pay attention to what they feel they need to when they need to. I just think that they don't like to sit and have long drawn out conversations like we do. Like I know a lot of kids who will listen to a whole album straight through, but won't listen to a podcast. Mm-hmm. Or I mean, I hate to say it, but probably wouldn't listen to a sermon. Like, they're getting everything in different ways. They're getting their church in different ways, or not just church, their spirituality, religion. And I think we just may have to learn to adapt to how they're growing up. We talk to our parents in different ways, and they talk to their parents in different ways that they didn't understand. So I think it might be a generational thing there, but I do hear you, Black Queen Love. I love that name. But yeah, I mean, the free range parenting is something that I just learned, and I've questioned wholeheartedly, because I'm like, free range to me says chicken with the head cut off, and my mom always told me not to run around like a chicken with my head cut off. So I'm just like, should we be doing this? But now there are extremes to the free range
concept. I had a neighbor, and she described herself as a free range parent, and when her son was 4 or 5, he could literally go outside, walk a block away, just explore. He's exploring. That's what I'm serious. There were 2 or 3 times where we had to go looking for him because he's out exploring. And I'm like, now the extreme to that, now the boy is missing.
And she didn't have any type of like location service on him, like an air tag or what's the other one?
No.
Tile.
He's exploring. So, one time we found him behind the school on the playground at 5 years old. He would be.
I dang near want to microchip my children with the way the world is. I'm not even kidding. I want to microchip them.
Yeah, it's now that to me was extreme. So I'm more in the middle. I don't walking the 2 or 3 blocks away. Hell no. Like Pastor Bliss said, I'm not gonna be able to do it.
Not at that age. But what about your older girl?
I give her a little bit of space on the block. You don't go into anybody's house, and you need to be within earshot. If you hear me calling you, then you need to be somewhere where you can hear me and respond. When I step out of this front door, I need to be able to look left or right and see your person. We don't go into anybody's house, and that's that.
Has she had a sleepover yet?
We do not do sleepovers.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Do people sleep over at your house?
No, ma'am. I don't want nobody's kids in here.
That? What's going on, Jonna? Sleepovers are like the pinnacle of adolescence.
They are, and but no, we do not do sleepovers. And now cousins, family, yeah, they can come over and spend the night. I don't want anybody else's kids in my house. No. Now, in a year or two, when I get over the trauma of having 3 kids in a row, I might think about it. But right now, you got to go home. No, call somebody. Somebody got to come get you. You can't stay in here.
I feel you. Wow, no sleepovers. Okay, so what age is she gonna have her first sleepover? She has to go to a sleepover.
Now, I do have maybe one other parent that I would consider. I'm not saying no or yes. I'll have one other parent I would consider a sleepover with. But as of right, they know, don't even ask. There's no sleepovers. I don't know who's in your house. I don't know who's coming to your house. I don't know who's, and I don't want to have to burn this bee down about my kids.
I fully understand that.
Now, okay, so Royal Confessions needs your help. She says, I need an intervention since I'm on Twitch all day, every day, and I am naked.
Are you Is she streaming? Streaming naked? This is OnlyFans territory. I feel like. I don't know, Royal Confessions. I think. Where are you? What? You people
she's clowning, Shelly. She's clowning.
Oh, bless your heart.
Did y'all see the crisis?
You were like really in a
concern, yeah.
Oh my goodness, I went through it.
You went through.
I'm like, what?
Royal Confessions is banned. She's banned. Y'all know what BAHM stands for? In case you didn't know, that's Blocker on Ministry.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know.
Blocker Whole Ministry. Y'all funny.
Head, I'm like, maybe I need therapy because people are well comfortable with being naked.
She's been banned. Okay, I just had to throw that in for a little humor.
Man, I was Shelly Thunder. I'm hot now. Like, dang.
Your blood pressure rose and everything. You went into fight or flight. It was like, oh my goodness, my adrenaline, everything. We gotta save her, Jesus. We gotta save her.
We have to capture this woman and help her out. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Real quick, I want to get into a couple this or that's. We've talked about pretty much everything when it relates to the older generation and the younger generation. And Jean, when I mentioned that my older guy wanted an iPhone, I heard the screech in your voice. So my first this or that is going to be Apple versus Android. Where does everybody stand? Should younger kids have Androids and Apple should be for the older people who know how to navigate the technology, or is it just more of what you're comfortable with? What do you have, Angie?
I am all about the child's responsibility. If the child is responsible, because some children are extremely responsible at earlier ages. Some children are older ages and very irresponsible. I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of money on a child that's irresponsible. Now, if that child can take a device, and as we said earlier, these children nowadays are geniuses with these devices. I know when I was in the school system contracted back in the early 2000s, they couldn't do anything unless it came in on computer. And a lot of the black kids were behind because they didn't have computers. So I understand the very dilemma that you all are saying. Sometimes with these more advanced devices, they actually are advanced in their manipulating of the devices. And at the end of the day, in the year and generation that they come into needing jobs, they're going to need how to be complex in working devices. And so to me, it just really, if that child is responsible, to me, it more so speaks to giving them an opportunity to really be able to handle those devices.
Okay, so it's more about responsibility for you. Okay, so as when it comes to the technology and what the phones can do, or I guess what you've seen, do you prefer Android to Apple, or do you prefer Apple to Android devices?
I've had both, and I think it's a matter of preference. I don't think it's one over the other to me. I've had both Apple and Android, several on both sides, and I don't see they are different, very different in their operational systems, but I don't think one over the other, one way or the other, to me.
Right. Okay. Shelly Thunder said, "Get you an iPhone when you get a job." Your own job, right? I hear. What about you, Jonna?
We are an Apple house, but I don't think my kids will care as long as it plugs in and lights up.
They don't
Ask
care.
Them. Now,
tomorrow, take them and trade their iPhones in for Galaxies.
You're correct. Now, when they ask me for something, like my baby, my middle kid wants a MacBook. Mm-hmm. I'm like, no way. Now you can save and buy yourself one. Absolutely, go ahead. I'm not buying it though. But I don't think that if I give her something else, she'll get over it. I don't think they care. As long as it plugs in and lights up, she'll be fine.
See, I didn't. To this day, 27-year-old Shelly still remembers when she was 11 years old and she asked her father for an iPod for Christmas. And for Christmas, I got a Walmart brand MP3 player that was black. It had buttons. iPods didn't have buttons. They had the little spinny thing that you spun around to select your song. And I was just like, how? And when I opened it, he was more excited than me. He was like, yeah, your iPod. And I'm like,
this ain't it.
This is not an iPod. What are you talking about?
Oh, God. Yeah.
I still remember that Christmas, like, oh, how you have betrayed me. And he'll tell you today, we had to convince him to get an iPhone whenever we switched over our phone plans, because he just wouldn't. He was just like, I like my Galaxy. I like this, but his phone was always dying. And he always asked us, oh, how come I don't get your guys' pictures and they're blurry? And why are my pictures blurry? It's like, because you have a Samsung, sir. You need to switch over. And now he probably wouldn't even switch back. Once we convinced him to switch to iPhone, I don't think he would even go back. So I'm just Apple all day.
Let me inject a different thought, though. I think sometimes you need to inquire more with your child before you make decisions, because it may be more expensive, but depending on how your child is wired, it may be more advantageous to go a certain direction. Case in point, when home studio first came out back in the day, the only studio you could really do was Mac. And so we had the little cheap machines, Radio Shack and all of that crap. But then when it came time when I was exposed to a Mac in my music producing, I was clueless as to how to work that Mac. Now, Macs were much more expensive. And at the end of the day, it was night and day difference. Sometimes they'll say, oh, it ain't no difference, honey. That machine does the same thing, or that device does the same thing. Depending on how it's going to be used and depending on how your child is wired does make a difference. That my parents, on the other hand, I think maybe took a different approach. They didn't look at the dollar sign. They looked at how my sisters and I were wired. So we had very expensive, we were all musically inclined. We had very, thousands of dollars musical equipment when we were very young children. We handled it well. We knew how to take care of the equipment. We expanded in those areas. But then I had counterpart friends who their parents were like, I'm not spending more than $20. And they'd come in with, I think we need to stop and pay attention. And it wasn't about flaunting money, because my parents, they weren't about that. But they looked at each of the children individually, and then they bought us quality stuff. And so that's just the way we operated. But you knew as children, you're going to take care of this quality stuff. You're not just going to drag it around and tear it up. But they looked at us.
That's kind of where we are at. At first, I have not always been Team Apple. I didn't get an iPhone until I could buy my own, actually. And that was well after I was an adult. So, but once I did get an iPhone, everything else had to follow. I had to have the iPad and the AirPods, and everything else has to sync because I don't know, it's just convenience, I guess. It's convenient for me. But one thing I don't like about Apple is the boxes that your devices come in. They're such nice boxes. This might sound crazy, but they're such nice boxes, and I can't ever do anything else with them, and I hate to throw them away. So right now, in my storage closet, do you throw them away?
I have to make myself.
No,
but
really?
now I will tell you, I'm always 2 or 3 phones behind. Now, every time Apple drops another phone, I'm not going to buy another phone every time. I mean, my phone has to almost stop. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I need another phone. And then I'm still doing everything I can to not buy it.
I agree. I think the only reason why I have one of the most recent ones is because I upgraded for a certain feature. I had, before I got the 11 Pro, which is what I have now, I had the 7. So I skipped a bunch before I was like, okay, I'll take a dive into the next one. But I agree. The chat is mostly saying Apple. So I think Apple takes with this one. I do want to say one reason said Mac for music and creative and PC for office. I agree with that because while I'm saying all my stuff is Apple, I have an Acer laptop, an HP desktop, and an HP printer. So all of my office and like school and work stuff is, I guess, Android or Droid system. And then all of my play and like create stuff is Apple. So one reason makes a good point with that. Mac for music and creative, PC for office. Good point. Okay, so the next one, we kind of already covered this between the three of us, but whooping versus timeout. Which one is everyone using? Are we picking up the belt like our mamas and our grandmas did, or are we just sending the kids to the corner? Use the box for born day or Christmas gifts. That's a good suggestion. I haven't figured out. I thought about Mish said in the chat, use the boxes for born days or Christmas gifts.
Can you imagine unwrapping an Apple box and then you open it and it's not an iPhone pair of socks?
Man,
that's traumatic to me.
That would be worse than the iPod MP3 player.
Yeah,
I don't think my
mother used to do stuff like that. So, and she would be serious though. She, but I get it. It is a nice box, but I don't know about that one.
I couldn't. If I open up a box and you're like, "Oh, Merry Christmas," and I'm like, "Oh, you went all out this year," because that's what I do too. I like comment based off of what I see, and then if I open it and it's like, "Oh, okay.
Christmas candy, yay!"
Didn't quite go out this year. What are we thinking? Are we whooping? Or are we putting the kids in timeout? Jonna says she's stripping you down to your PJs at 2:00 in the afternoon and putting you in your bedroom. What about you, Angie? What are you doing?
I'm gonna talk to him because I'm gonna talk to him. So definitely not. I've taken a vow that as I've grown and matured, am not advocating putting my hands on children and teaching them violence. I want to teach them something different. And so, I'm going to have a conversation. I want to understand why you did what you did. Let's have a conversation. Maybe we just need to sit quietly and think about it and then come back and process it together so I can help you learn how to process. Maybe you need to learn how to process so you can make good decisions. But that done through modeling and conversation, not by picking up a belt or whatever. That's where I am.
Yeah, I appreciate that perspective. I think, like I said earlier, I'm moving more towards the having a conversation and time out. I'm going to stop making my idle threats. Maybe.
And I don't make idle threats. Honey, they know if I get the look, but I'm not gonna put my hands on them. But they know, oh no, ain't no idle threat.
Now, that's true about spiritual thought leader. Now, when she said it, that's it. Immediately.
But that's
always get tickled, but
but with no hands laid. Now, Jonna, do I lay hands? Right. I don't put hands on you.
And there's never any need to, because whatever she said,
That child knows, male or female, that child knows when they see this presence and this look on my face, I'm not playing with you.
Right. It's game time. Or
with no violence.
With no violence. That's what I was about to ask. So wait, if it's game time, then what happens if they don't?
Because number one, if they don't, like I said, we're going to have conversation, and that conversation is going to be stern. That conversation is going to be explorative. That conversation will give them an opportunity to communicate. That conversation will give them an opportunity to express themselves, and then we're going to talk about that together. And I think that's probably more torture than if I just go ahead and spank them.
And I'll tell you another thing Aunt Jean does is I have seen her get down like eye to eye to their level. And at that point, they like, wait a minute, what? All that foolishness stops. And they're listening, they're paying attention. But that eye to eye, where it does something. When she gets down, right, and it's not aggressive at all. It's just down, face to face, and they all ears.
Since I've taken this approach of gentler parenting, I've followed a couple of Instagram pages that talk about different things you can do to communicate better with your children. And that is one of the main ones that they make is when you're explaining something to them or you're talking to them, get down on their level. So, and Jean was ahead of her time with that.
But let me tell you what I will say in addition to that. I think Jonna will testify. The kids know that I love them. They do not feel threatened. They do not feel like they're going to lose my love. They do not feel like I'm going to walk away from them and they're just going to be the worst children ever. I never, ever, ever give that kind of air to children because I think it's absolutely destructive.
Yeah, I would say they almost feel pumped when she gets finished with them. Like, I can do this. Even though I just said I wasn't gonna do it. I think I can. Motivational. Yeah, it's like a stern motivational speech. Tickle, but anyway, that's what it is.
It works.
I love that. So I think that's the general consensus. We got a whole lot of saints in this chat because everybody said that they'll just talk. And I know if we asked your kid, no, I'm just kidding. But everyone said the timeout and the talking took it. Okay. Oh, this one I really wanted to see what everyone's opinion was. So these are kind of super polar opposites, but the next one is long distance relationship or move in the first date. Move in right away. That night, we went on a date. Everything went well. I'm bringing all my clothes to your house tonight.
Don't do it.
You would rather be long distance than move in.
I'm not going to do either of those, but I would say I'm definitely not moving into your house on the front. No. Don't do it. No, I don't know you.
What?
I got to see your mama and all them before I bring my stuff.
And see how you treat your mama and them before I bring my stuff.
And see how your mama treats you.
Come on, I need to see all of that. I need to see all of that.
Man, why not? A lot of relationships are forged in the first 3 months. Like, you know what you want to do with this person in the first 3 months of knowing them. So just speed it up a little bit. Speed it up 3 months.
Why do you need to speed it up? If they're yours, then they're yours. Why do you need to speed it up?
If you're comfortable and maybe you just don't have another place to stay.
What?
Uh-oh. No, that's a whole nother can of worms. Shelley.
That's a whole nother can of worms.
But also you're comfortable.
But this is the thing. I think there is a tremendous joy in taking time to get to know a person. That can be the courtship and the getting to know can be even more valuable than I'm gonna wake up in the morning and smell your bad breath and you got to smell mine and all of that. We ain't ready for that. I'm not ready to smell your breath, your farts, or nothing else. I need you to get to know me and I need to get to know you. And that may be a generational issue for real, Shelly.
It could be. I don't know. I've honestly heard success stories from both avenues. Now I say first day. I know a couple who kind of chatted in the DMs for a while and then moved in with each other after their first date. And they're abundantly happy and joyous. I mean, they have their obstacles like everybody else does, but they're successful. So
My mother's, she was a foster child, but her parents that raised her, Grandma and Grandpa Henry, knew each other 7 days and got married, literally.
also
And
married at first sight.
and stayed together till death do us part, and had a beautiful marriage.
That's amazing. But that brought me to the point of married at first sight. Married at first sight is a thing, and they've had several successful relationships on that show, where they literally get dressed, tux in white gown, and they meet at the altar. They say, "Hi, my name is Brandon. Hi, my name is Tiffany," and then they say, "I do."
Nope, not gonna be able to do it.
Donna, you can give love a fighting chance.
No, baby.
You just gonna be fighting. I don't know about the love, but you're gonna be fighting.
And that's a big ass chance. Too big for me to say. I ain't gonna be able to do it.
I can't. That is gold. Okay, let's see. The chat is with you. They're all saying the opposite. I don't think anybody would ever. What's wrong with the long distance relationship though? I mean, I feel like if we built a connection, let's say we knew each other where we were, wherever we met, and we built a connection, we continue to. We have FaceTime now. We have. I mean, you can catch a flight pretty much anywhere. We could make a long distance situation work. I thought that
wouldn't be my preference to do a long distance relationship. I'd rather do that than go with you and get married and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But I think, I don't know, for me, long distance for a long span of time. Now, if it's going to be 2 or 3 months, maybe. But I know people who've done that for years, and I don't know.
Mhm.
That's not for me.
I don't know if I can do it for years. That's a leap.
Yeah, it is a
of
leap.
faith.
Well, it's really not, but because come on now, years, no. But people do it, not my preference.
Right. You know what? Shaking my head. What happened, Shelly Thunder? Shelly Thunder said, "You know what? Shaking my head." You're not with the long distance for years.
She said if the distance is bigger than her hips, she ain't doing it.
Chances me that my hips miss you. Yeah. One reason said my wife watches Married at First Sight. I love that show. I love to see the different stories. They haven't had many successful relationships, but they've had a few. And the ones that are successful, their stories are still beautiful today. I follow a couple of them on Instagram, and they're to the point of having kids, and I mean, they're really in love.
Now, one reason makes a good point. Yeah, just because you wait, you still don't know the person you're marrying.
That's
exactly.
True. That's true.
Good point. People evolve and change and even with those, 2, 3, 4 year courtships, there's going to be some discovery. Seatbelt.
Okay, so more people are saying, Shelly Thunder says she agrees with long distance. A lot of more people are saying long distance than moving in on the first. Y'all not romantics. Y'all don't believe in rom-coms. Every rom-com we've ever seen is like two people bump shoulders in the street and now they're madly in love.
We don't want axe murderers.
We don't need Freddy versus Jason.
No.
I can't. Okay, my last this or that. This one's kind of sticky. I can see this getting into murky waters. Would you rather switch cell phones with your significant other or spouse, or switch jobs for a day? You guys swap phones, or you go work their job, they go work your job for a day? Where are we? What say you, Aunt Jean?
This must be a generational question because I don't see an issue.
I don't either. I'm like, you can keep your phone and your job.
Right. So now, wait a minute. So you said this might be sticky. So tell me where you're going with that, because obviously at 60, I'm not clear.
A lot of people know, or the term that I hear often when it comes to cell phones is, if you go looking, you'll find it. So if you have somebody's phone for a whole day, they're getting calls, they're getting texts, whatever. You don't know what you'll stumble across. You could stumble across something from 8-9 years ago, but it might still upset you. So I think the problem with that is people have skeletons in those cell phone closets.
I'm not scared of my significant other's cell phone, so that wouldn't affect me, nor would working their job affect me. So I don't have a dog in that fight, so I have to digress to Jana.
See, Rona, do I have to answer the phone? That's another point I was going to make. Maybe your significant other is just really busy, and they get calls all day. When I was visiting with my sister, her phone did not stop ringing from 6 a.m. to 3 a.m. I mean, it rang all day, and I was like, I would hate to be responsible for your phone. I mean, that's not my significant other, it's my sibling, but I'm like, I would hate to be responsible for your phone. Like, this is ridiculous.
Well, now I would say for me, my husband's phone is on silent all the time.
It is.
STL and the Rebel can vow. If you have to go through me. So I will take his phone because it's not going to be answered anyway. So I will take the phone over the job. If I had to pick, like I said earlier, you can keep your phone and your job. Let me know if you need something. But if I had to pick, I guess I would take the phone because it's not going to be on.
I would absolutely take the phone. My husband does a lot. No, you know what? I'm on the fence about this because for me, I would take the phone. For him, I would switch jobs because I'm a stay-at-home mom and I would love to see him here all day.
Oh, wait a minute. I forgot about that part.
With all three. Do you see what I would set up a camera system and I would love to see him here all day with these kids.
Now, do I get the benefit when I get off of work? Do I get to chill and, all that stuff?
All of it. The whole
night. Then I'll take the job. Oh, my God.
Dinner's ready when I come home. The shower's nice and hot. The whole night.
Yeah, I'll take the job. No doubt.
For him, I'm taking the job. For me, I'd take the phone because I'm just like, I don't want to do your job.
I don't want to do the job. Now, it's going to be a piss poor job if I have to do it. You're going to get fired. Today's going to be your last day.
You're going to be fired, sir. You're going to be reprimanded when you come back.
But
when you come back, there's going to be a box. The box will be sitting on the chair.
With your plant sticking out the top, yes.
I remember, this brings me to a story. For Mother's Day, I think it was this year or last year. My husband was like, what do you want for Mother's Day? And I was like, I just want one day off. Like, you take the kids for the whole day. I'm going to go get my nails done, my lashes done, the whole nine. And the night before, I said it to my son. I think he was still 6. No, he was probably 5. I think it was last year. I was like, hey, tomorrow mommy's going to be off. So whenever you need something, you say daddy instead of mommy. Like, I'm not helping you tomorrow. And that boy, you would have thought I just told him the secret behind Santa because why? Well, why do you have to be off? Well, why do I have to go to daddy? He looked over at my husband like, I don't know if this is the choice I want to make. And I thought that was so hilarious. He was like, it's just going to be one day, right? And then at night, when the nighttime comes, you're going to be back. Like, this is what's happening. You're not leaving us all day. It was hilarious for a 5-year-old to process that in that way. Because I'm just like, no, it's not that deep. I'm not abandoning you. It's just when you wake up and you want cereal, instead of asking mommy for cereal, ask daddy for cereal. That was pretty funny. But that's about what I had for this or that. I had an off one that I thought people might like. Vacation with the kids or a vacation? Which one would you prefer to do? Post-pandemic, you don't need to wear masks. You can go out and do all the things you love to do.
Is that even a question? Vacation? Absolutely. Yeah. I know we'll come back and then take the kids somewhere, but vacation.
Also, we've been in the house for almost 2 years now with the whole family. So I get that. Vacation all the way. I think, let's see. A lot of people are avoiding the phone on the last one. People are avoiding the phone. I would too, just for my sanity, for sure. Because I'm just like, I don't know who calls you. I don't know how to answer their questions. That's one thing I want to stay away from.
But, I just want that evening off. That's that evening off. and dinner and all that. That's what I want. So I'll be willing to put in the shift work to get that evening off. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And I'll take one of those third shift nights, because last night specifically, I got up at 10 o'clock p.m. and made dinner. One serving of dinner. So that you could have dinner when he came home. And I'm just like, I need this. I need somebody to do this for me one time.
Bless your heart.
One night. Okay, I think we can get into everyone. I mean, I see a couple vacations for that last one too. This has been a great conversation. You know what? Before we get into the last segment, I want to cycle back. We touched on a few of the topics. What do you think is the important part? We haven't really gotten into any territory of like anger or aggression. I feel like even when me and Aunt Jean were disagreeing on the topic of clothes in the workplace, nothing went sour really. What is it that contributes to being able to have these conversations where we don't so much see eye to eye, and we can still remain cordial, and we can still share love, we can still share life and be peaceful people?
Maturity. You have to be able to consider a perspective that's not your own.
Mm-hmm.
And the basic communication skill of listening. It is so basic, but people don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why that is, and it's really irritating. It can get a conversation to the left very quickly. Very quickly, particularly with younger people, because a lot of times we're always so dismissive of their ideas and their thoughts and their experiences. And we might not agree, but their experiences are their experiences, and it deserves to be heard. So we do have to listen. That's a huge barrier between generations. People just don't want to listen. I think the older generation has this way is the right way and the only way, but it's not the only way. There are other ways, and we have to be open to listen.
Yeah, I do think maturity is a massive factor, and listening is just fundamental. I feel like if I find myself continuously repeating myself to you, you don't care about what I'm saying. I mean, just at a core level.
The result of that is a shutdown. You simply stop talking. At least I do. Just stop talking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're wasting time at this point.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I feel you. Is that what you're kind of thinking as well, Aunt Jean? Maturity and just being able to listen. And
I absolutely agree. And I think that more times than not, because as John has said, people are not listening. They even at times are quiet, but they're not listening. They're waiting for a break in your response so they can tell you what they've been sitting there waiting to say the whole time. So they never heard a word you said, really. They were just waiting for a break in your conversation so that they could say what they wanted to say, but they're not listening to you. So I think that we have to be very cognizant of our behaviors in that way. Am I really listening to understand? Am I genuinely trying to understand, or am I giving a break here just to allow, it's almost like when you're talking, it's like Charlie Brown and the teacher, wah, 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 wah. I didn't hear a word you said. I just heard noise, and I'm just waiting for that noise to stop so I can come right back with what it is I planned to say the whole time. So I haven't heard anything. And so you never get an opportunity in that kind of behavior to really have a real dialogue where everybody is open to an exchange, give, take, listen, and all of that. I think that's critical.
Yeah, it absolutely is. One Reason made a good point over in the chat. So did Black Queen. I think everyone's kind of saying the same thing. Black Queen said, people don't listen to hear, they listen for a chance to respond. So did Damon. He said the same. But One Reason also said they're always right before they hear anything. And I think that is one thing that people have to let go of. A lot of people come into a conversation with the preconceived notion that their mind cannot be changed. And the fact of the matter is, if this conversation is going to be conducive, you have to be open to the fact that you are possibly wrong. Sometimes you are right, but you're possibly wrong. And also the I told you so. You got to release the I told you so, because if you are right, no one's going to want to keep having a conversation with you if you hang the fact that you're right over their head. So I think there has to be the factor of not only being a bit humble when you're right, but also being open to the fact that you can be corrected, and I can correct you and not feel like I am like holding a trump card over you. I can correct you and still feel like we are on a mutual level of understanding. Those are also important, which plays into maturity, because I feel like it's a very immature idea to think that I'm always right and you can't tell me anything.
That is very immature. But I do think that this is one of the biggest barriers between the generations, because we cannot talk. We cannot do it. And I don't know why exactly, but it just does not happen. I have seen the two generations try to come together, and it's like an explosion waiting to happen. Because the minute the older generation gets any sort of resistance, then here comes the disrespect and all that drama. And then once the younger generation hears that, they're done. And they're all sitting there because they can't move.
Can I suggest, and I'm not saying it's the only thing, but I think it bears looking into as far as mental wellness. Can I suggest that some of that is because we are not mentally well? And so you get the older people who do have experience, but there's a lot of older people that are angry as hell. They're angry. And so they've got that bottled up anger of life. Then you got the younger people who are angry as hell. And so you get angry with angry, and you put those two together, and it's almost immediately volatile because people are not emotionally and mentally well. So I think some of that is a matter of, you got to deal with some of that baggage and some of that stuff so that you can come together and have a profitable conversation. I'm not angry. You're not angry. So you can't push my buttons and I explode. I can't push your buttons and you explode, which I think a lot of times, in my opinion, is what happens.
Absolutely. Where is that? I mean, I don't understand where the anger comes from. It's like, you can be taught by everybody else. You can go into a job and be trained to do a position. You can go into a school and be taught whatever the curriculum is. But when it comes to learning from people that you know personally who are younger than you, why is that a problem?
I don't know. I feel like the older generation feels like they should know more than what they do. And if they don't, then it's almost like a negative. And so they're not going to admit that there may be another way better than mine, or it's almost like I'm not going to show any form of what I feel like is weakness. And that's just my opinion. I don't know that to be certain.
No, but I understand.
But in my experience, it's like I can't show any signs of weakness or any signs of not knowing. So I'm going to stand on what I said. It is what it is, and you're not going to change it, and blah, blah, blah. And like Tall Pumps, now I will agree with that. Anger comes from trauma, and that older generation has a lot of it. Not that the younger doesn't, because that has been passed down. That ball is still rolling and it's picking up steam, to be honest.
And not for nothing either. I mean, look at the things that they have survived through. A lot of those people lived through the civil rights movement, and I mean, even beyond active slavery, Jim Crow. I mean, so I understand the anger and the trauma, but we have to break those chains.
Absolutely.
I think that is very, very impactful. This has been great. I've learned a lot. I had a bit of a meltdown because I thought that everybody was just out here naked in the streets. But I'm okay. I'm okay now. Before we go, I do have a couple of turn that thing around questions. Jonna, I'm excited. Just like me, your first time doing this, you have no idea what I'm about to ask you. And I think it's going to be fun. Okay. I'm going to go easy, the first one. So you are a young woman. You're back in high school. You know, all the jams are on. You've got your poetic justice braids. You're walking down the hallway. It's your time, your prime. We're here.
Okay.
You want to go get a tattoo. Your friend knows a guy at a shop. He's going to give you a tattoo. He doesn't need parental consent. You get it. Your mom doesn't know you got it. Your dad doesn't know you got it. They're avidly against them. And then it gets infected. Really bad. You need a doctor. What do you do?
Go to one. Tell your mama that you got an infection on your skin before that gets out of control.
You're going to go through. She might make it worse. She might pick up, the first thing she sees and beat you in the streets with it before she takes you to the doctor.
So, okay, now, this is funny because this actually happened to a friend of mine with a teenage daughter. Now, what are we supposed to be doing here? Turning this bad situation into a positive?
Gotta turn it around. Turn it into a positive.
First, you need to seek medical attention. And then, I'm up, you got to be well. This is your skin we're talking about here. You could get septic, for crying out loud. Now you in the ICU, ain't no beds. There's a whole nother, that ball.
Another thing.
Don't do it. Seek medical attention. You could tell your parents, I got a tattoo. It got infected. I had to go to the doctor, but now I know that you ain't as dumb as you look. I don't know.
I'm saying don't tell them yet. Just go and get yourself taken care of.
Right, but then you need to tell them. So
But why? Why do I have to tell them? I already got it sorted.
Where's the tattoo? I would say tell them before they see it, and then be like, you're gonna need a round of antibiotics. I'm just saying.
Tell them regardless.
Yeah, you need to tell them. You need to tell them
and get myself the help that I need.
Yeah, and now they know, and now you know. You turned it around. You're a little smarter than you were when you took your behind to the tattoo shop.
Right.
That was an older generation talking right there, wasn't it?
Absolutely. You gotta confess.
That's what it is.
You gotta come clean. Okay, so my next one is now you're a woman now. You're out on your own. You're dating your little boo thing. He wants to try something adventurous in the bedroom. But you've tried it already and it's not your thing. You don't like it. What do you do?
Tell him you don't like it and be like, no, I'm not gonna be
able to even trying it. Maybe it was the person that you tried it with that you didn't like it with.
If I don't like it, I don't like it, sir.
You give him a little chance.
Nope. If I already did it and I don't like it, I'm not doing it.
Donna, just tip.
No, no tips. If I don't like it, I'm not getting ready to try it again. I'm not doing it.
That's what they say. What happened to Mishmi said, what happened to the decision making?
I made a decision when I said I didn't like it.
No, wow. Okay, that was easy. That was quick. Not even a little consideration for the man. Oh, I think we might have lost Jonna.
Let's see. Is she stuck?
A pinky. That's what I'm saying. One reason she's not letting nothing slip and slide in this case. Nothing at all. She said, "Get away from me, sir."
We lost her.
Oh no.
We'll see if she makes it back. Here she is. Hold on a second.
Man, Michelle, no, it's not happening. It's not happening on Jonna's Avenue.
I even left because I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. Bye.
I'm not going to be a part of this anymore. That's good. That's golden. Okay, you bought a new sports car. But you're on your mom's insurance. So we know sports cars, motorcycles, those kinds of things raise the insurance rate because of the safety of them. What do you do? What do you do?
If I got a sports car, hopefully I have the money to pay the difference in the insurance. Mm-hmm. So I would turn that around by saying, I got a sports car, and here is the whole year's worth of premiums for that insurance.
But maybe you don't. Maybe you don't have it. Do you expect her to pay?
If I don't have it, then why did I buy a sports car? What are we doing? Am I old?
You went to
I guess I'm just old.
You went to the supercar guys and they gave you a great deal, and you said, "I'll worry about the rest later."
Girl, I didn't say that. I didn't say it.
Mama's got to pay it now. Do you offer? I mean, are you offering her more chores? Are you doing things around the house to help her out?
Somebody got to pay it, so I guess I'm gonna have, I don't know how do we turn that around, because if it were me, you're gonna have to come up with the cash, sis. I'm gonna
get another job.
Yeah,
okay, I can see that. Maybe get another, if you didn't have the money already, get another job to support the new car that you got.
I know how to turn that thing around.
okay,
I'm listening.
turn it around.
Take the car back.
Yeah, now that's a good idea.
To the supercar guys.
Take it right on back.
Car back.
I can't afford it. Here you go.
I can hear that. I think that's one thing people don't consider when purchasing cars sometimes is the other expenses. Not just the car payment, but also the insurance and the outside expenses that come with car payment. Michelle said, "Call daddy."
Come on.
Absolutely.
Well, now.
Wait, which daddy?
Oh,
What?
wait a minute.
My father. I was thinking of my father.
Both of them.
All of them. That sugar daddy gonna want some sugar though.
He want that sugar. He want that sugar.
He don't want the sugar, the sprinkles, okay, to cover that insurance now. Okay, last one. You are also a young woman. You have found yourself with child. However, you are not in a relationship. You're dating this person, but you have not made things exclusive yet. Sorry, Royal Confessions they call Zaddy. Okay, I needed a clarification on who Daddy was. Do you try to advance the relationship a little early as to kind of build a home for the child that you're expecting? This or that. So what do you do? Is that what you do, or are you going for other options?
Okay, let me repeat. I am a young woman in a new dating situation. I found myself with child, and what do I do from here? Is that correct?
Yes. What do you do from here?
If we're newly dating, and so we're saying we don't really, okay, so the relationship is not serious. I would explain the situation and hold no expectations. Now, you are going to help me take care of the kid, but now whether you choose to stay in relationship or be involved, that's your choice, because it's your choice anyway. But no expectations as far as relationship. Are we going to stay together? No.
That made me sad. I don't know. I feel like I would want to at least see. I would bring it up. I think that's the type of person I am. I would bring it up to the person to see where their head is at. Like, okay, we are with child now. We've been dating for a minute. I'm not saying we need to jump right into a relationship, but where do you see this relationship going? I just kind of need a gauge of where things are at.
Well, I think that would be a good question, but my thing now is I'm with child, and I really don't have time to be sitting up trying to figure out what you gonna do. No.
What are we? That's a big question. What are we?
Whatever we are, there's a baby coming. So I gotta pull my head together and get ready for that, whether you're gonna be here or not.
So you're not saying you would necessarily step away from whatever the situation is. You would just have no expectations to advance it.
Correct. I'm not going to put a bunch of pressure on a relationship because there's a baby coming, because there's already a whole bunch of pressure baking. There's a whole bunch coming. So I'm not going to add to it by trying to figure out where we at, because where were we at 6 weeks ago?
Between the sheets and the navel and the knee.
Between the sheets and the navel and the knee. So either you stay in or you're not, sir. Which one is it going to be? Make your decision quickly.
We all know as a pregnant woman, your emotions are heightened. Everything is all over the place. You're going a million miles a minute. So do you think that if you you don't hold your expectations, you continue to carry this child, and you continue to date this person with no expectations, do you think that would kind of cause you some emotional turmoil?
Well, I think there will be some anyway, because for
Mhm.
most of us, when you get ready to have a baby, you want what is considered a family. But sometimes that's not the case. So, um, and emotions, everything is heightened when you're pregnant. So I wouldn't make any rash decisions. That was one thing while pregnant. Make no huge decisions. Don't cut your hair off. Even something as simple as that. Make no big decisions while pregnant because your head is in a different place.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I 100% agree. I agree.
So
Go ahead, Angie.
no, I'm just going to put tall pumps in as food for thought, not necessarily to try to hash it out. I know that hour's getting late, but food for thought. So we didn't have a conversation about a relationship, but we were intimate enough to create a child. Just let that linger in the air.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot of situations. We've had this tall pumps. You've been here. We've had this situationship conversation a bunch. These people out here throwing that thing, popping that cat. Okay. And no conversation.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to revert back to the old lady again, girl. If you don't sit that cat down, now you can.
Listen.
And now what?
I'm not judging. I'm all for popping your cat in whichever direction you want to pop it. But the other day, one thing that did blow my mind, I'm scrolling through Facebook, and you know how you see your friends sharing promos, or whoever sharing promos of different products. They had spin-a-night bags. They were selling specific spin-a-night bags, and on the side they would have printed, "Drop, I'm staying the night for that D. Give me that vitamin D." Those kind of phrases on the sides of these bags that they would take with them to their evening appointments. And I'm not judging at all, but I'm just like, yes, they are out here. Tall pumps. No conversation.
My thing on that, and this is, I don't know if it makes me old school or not, but if you're gonna roll like that, then you need to be in a situation where you can handle all consequences, including children, by yourself.
Ooh.
You understand? Absolutely.
Ooh, that's a hot take.
In a situation where you can handle whatever comes your way by yourself, because his presence or her presence or whatever is never guaranteed. Never.
I have to disagree. I have to disagree because I'm going to say me, but this is not me. Just like I'm popping that cat, he's slanging that thing. So we both know what we're doing, and we both know what it could create.
I agree.
I don't think that I should be responsible by myself.
No, you shouldn't be responsible by yourself. But will you be is the question. Will you be responsible by yourself?
Is the drugstore out of condoms and we just, I'm just trying to understand. There was a rush on condoms. Hubba, did you use a rubber? You can't find a rubber nowhere. You're so hot and bothered, but you can't stop and get a rubber nowhere. I understand raw. I understand. But listen, this is not till death do us part. I'm not with you. So now, come on now.
They're ineffective sometimes. They're ineffective. And also, everybody, I mean, not everybody, but a lot of people say, oh, it just feels better.
Girl. Do you want to take care of that child like trying to say it by yourself?
I don't think they gotta be. There's legal ramifications that you can create also.
But is it worth it for one night of D? Vitamin D, is that what we called it? I'm not going downtown to file a claim on one night of vitamin D. I'm not going to do all that. Now, that's just me. We'll have to wrap it up.
Tall Pumps, again, made a very, very strong point. You have a culture of women being okay with being baby mamas and carrying his seed to take care of his child by myself. No, ma'am. That's real. That is absolutely real. And on another podcast that I listened to, it's called Good Moms, Bad Choices. One of the hosts of the podcast was saying that she doesn't vibe romantically. First of all, this is my first time ever hearing that there was a difference between romanticism and sexual attraction. So what she was saying was, I don't vibe romantically with my first child's father, but I'm going to go ahead and get pregnant by him again because I don't want my children to have different fathers. And I was just like,
Johnny, your face.
It blew my mind. It really did. I was just like, why? It's that big of a deal that your children have different fathers, that you're going to get pregnant by a man that you don't even, it sounds like you don't even like him. She was saying, I don't vibe. Her specific sentence was, I don't vibe with him romantically. But I'm just like, you don't like big fella. You don't like him. But you're going to just let him shoot up the club.
I don't understand that. Co-parenting can work. It absolutely can. But
it can. I
feel like if that is it the ideal situation for the kid? If we can avoid co-parenting, if we can avoid that, then why would we purposely choose it? That's a big issue with family today. We're split all over the place, half siblings here and there. Is it really that deep?
Yeah. I 100% know.
Well, the brothers out here are saying it's all about the D. She liked that D, and that's it. She liked that D, and it was all about the D.
That's absolutely what it was. You liked it enough to say, I'll go ahead and have another one of your kids, although I never in my life continue marrying you. And I was just like,
I must be doing something wrong, because I promise not one time have I ever been like, woo, let me go ahead and have a baby because no, child.
No, you're not doing anything. I mean, I don't want to call anyone right or wrong, but I have that same sentiment.
Well, I tell you what, it's not anything new, because I know somebody that is older that's exactly what the mother said, and she told the child that, and I just can't get over it. But at the end of the day, it's nothing new. But at any generation, I think it needs to be revisited and thought through. You talking about shooting up the club? Y'all remember that old nursery rhyme said, "Bang bang, you're dead. Brush your teeth and go to head. 50 bullets in your head."
No, that's not
that was a nursery rhyme.
This is the nursery.
Oh wow!
We used to do that back in the day for jump rope. We'd be like, "Bang bang, go to bed. Brush your teeth and go to bed. 50 bullets in your head. Count it off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5."
This is dramatic. Oh my God.
But a lot of nursery rhymes, if you listen to the words, they are dramatic. Yeah. They are dramatic.
But that one is blatantly dramatic.
Reason said that's a ghetto nursery rhyme.
Like, wait a minute. Bang, bang. I'm going to be cracking up about that all day today.
Bang, bang, you're dead. Brush your teeth and go to hell. 50 bullets in your head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Count it off. 7, 8. No, okay.
Girl, no.
Not at all.
Oh, that's funny. Truck driver said that's old school.
Dalen said our nursery rhymes can also be racial. Yeah, that sounds like one of them.
50 to the head. My God.
Goodness gracious. At this point, I don't want to go to sleep. I'm not.
Me either. I don't want to jump rope or anything. I mean,
double dutch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, that's hilarious. 50 bullets to the head. Oh my
Machine gun Sally. Okay.
Oh, let's go. But yeah, it's a thing. I'm not judging anybody. There's people out here who are all about sexual liberation. I'm all about sexual liberation. Do what is best for your bits. But I think some things get into the territory of not considering the consequences. Not considering the instant gratification and not considering what comes thereafter. One reason is that I don't trust that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Neither do I, one reason.
I do have to say I learned that from my urban friends, and I learned that as well as Little Sally Walker. I'd never heard those two before, but yeah.
What is Little Sally Walker?
Little Sally Walker sitting in a saucer, crying about what she has done. Rise, Sally, rise. Wipe your feeling eyes and let your backbone slip. Shake it to the
Wait a minute. Sally Walker had a bunch of, because my Sally Walker wasn't doing all that.
It's a couple different Sally Walkers around town.
Right. Mine was Little Sally Walker was walking down the street. Beep, beep. She didn't know what to do. So she came on up to me and said, go on, girl, do your thing. Do your thing. Do your thing. Go on, girl, do your thing. Stop. You had to freeze. Go on, girl, do your thing. Yeah, that was my Sally.
See, y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Shake it to the east, shake it to the west, shake it to the one that you love the best. That's Sally Walker got around.
Right. One reason Sally was playing.
Sally's business was out here.
Sally Walker was like Strawberry Hill. I found my thrill.
Dalen said in the chat, Sally Walker nursery rhymes have a generation of format. That's clear.
Oh
my goodness.
That's funny. Okay.
That's
Johnny, you said big man.
That's what it was. You had to do that beat, but you can't do it in front of adults because you had to kind of squat into it. Beat.
Well, yeah, I love it. Now ours was risque because you had to shake it to the east and then shake it to the west and then shake it to the one that you love the best. But the beat. Y'all was twerking. Y'all was twerking.
It was a little piece of a twerk.
Y'all was twerking.
That is one judgment I can make, coming from the generation of the crybaby. I know y'all were twerking.
See, they were twerking. Okay, I'm gonna let you go. It's been a great talk.
It has been great. I appreciate you joining us, Jonna. This conversation,
thank you for having me.
Invigorating. It has been educational. I think, if nothing else, the people in the chat know that we can all disagree and be friendly, and that's important. That's important to consider the other person on the other side of the argument. So thank you for being here once again. Thank you, SCL, for making this platform and letting us voice these opinions. I appreciate this.
I'm so glad that you're here, and thank you,
everybody in the chat. Thank you for rocking with us. Next week, I think Lena will be back. I will be back, and we will be full-fledged. I'm not sure, but I think that we will, and we'll keep you updated on what's going on. We will talk to you later.
Yes. Everybody in the club getting tipsy. Oh, excuse me.
What?
Everybody in the club getting tipsy. You know the beginning of that song. Well, we're closing out. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.